A lot of fans tried to overlook Brian Norman Jr. and his championship belt that he just won, and didn't want to acknowledge him as a champion when they sit around and acknowledge a lot of guys as champions. There's a lot of disrespect that Brian Norman Jr. was getting from fans because he wanted to fight the best. For some reason, when Terrence Crawford is getting called out by Jaron Ennis, everybody's treating Jaron Ennis like he's the undisputed fighter. And no disrespect to Jaron Ennis, because I'm a huge fan of Jaron Ennis. A lot of people felt like last night I was biased towards Jaron Ennis for some odd reason. They felt like I was biased towards Jaron Ennis last night. So if y'all think this is a hate video, it's definitely not, because technically right now I'm a biased Jaron Ennis fan from what I'm hearing. But when I was sitting up here talking about Brian Norman Jr., I put out 1 or 2 videos and I said, you know, the numbers aren't what they are, but Brian Norman Jr. definitely wants to fight Jaron Ennis. He's not ducking. I said, and a lot of people got mad at me when I said Brian Norman Jr. wasn't ducking. And they felt like, well, everybody's ducking Jaron Ennis. You know what I'm saying? I heard that's what everyone was saying. Everybody was ducking Jaron Ennis, Terrence Crawford, Brian Norman Jr. That's disgusting. Brian Norman Jr. is the youngest champion in boxing right now. I heard last night they said Bam Rodriguez was the youngest champion. But last time I checked, Brian Norman Jr. is only 23 years old. So Brian Norman Jr. is the youngest champion in boxing. Bam Rodriguez, unless I thought Bam Rodriguez was 24 years old. So I didn't really understand that part when they say he was the youngest champion in boxing. Yeah, Bam Rodriguez is he's around 24. He's around 24, be 25 soon. Jaron Ennis is not Jaron Ennis, but Brian Norman Jr. is a year behind him. He's a year behind this guy, and takes a long time to actually get to this point. And for Brian Norman Jr. to be 23 years old, asking for the payday that he was asking for as a champion, and he was finna go into that hostile crowd last night in Philadelphia. You could have seen Brian Norman Jr. versus Bruce Ennis last night. But a lot of people felt like, oh, well, he ain't worth the money, he ain't get paid enough, and blah, 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 and that's this and this. Then I wake up today, and a lot of people mad at me because I ain't going in on Jaron Ennis about some stuff that already been talked about. I've already said these things about him. People talking about 154. I've already talked about that. Him going to 154 earlier this year that he should have already. I already said that he should have took the deal with Brian Norman Jr. because that was the only champion that was trying to fight him. And a lot of people just didn't understand that. And then you have a lot of people now trying to change their narrative just because of the fight result last night, which I don't do. I don't run with narratives. I just tell the truth. Jaron Ennis always had those problems that he had in that fight last night. Just like Munguia and all these other fighters have the same issues, getting hit with punches and not moving their head. But for some reason, he's the guy that's getting punished for when he doesn't run, because people say fighters over here are runners. So when you don't run, they say you ain't got no defense. But when you do move around and run, then they say you're a runner. So, you know, you can't win for losing. But with Brian Norman Jr., these fans gonna have to accept the fact. I see y'all still talking about, oh, he would have got slept and he ain't ready for boots and he ain't this. Y'all ain't boxing fans, bro. Y'all just sitting around protecting one fighter, and that's it. Bruce Ennis ain't did nothing to the point where y'all should be talking about him like he's Terrence Crawford. He is a great fighter. He's a champion. He's a guy who can be a part of the future in boxing. But at the same time, Brian Norman Jr. is a guy who's solid as well. And I've been saying this for a while now. And people wanted me to trash Brian Norman Jr. over some negotiations and stuff like that. You guys look crazy right now. You look crazy. You did a lot of videos about it. Those are going to be useless now. A lot of videos y'all be doing, they get a lot of views, but they're not going to get views 5 or 10 years from now because it was a lie. Nobody went ducking him. He's a hard fight for anybody, but nobody was ducking him. And from what I'm hearing, people don't feel like his skill was on a certain point. So no, this is not a video to bash Jaron Ennis or anybody else. This is a video to let you guys know that the guy Karen that y'all said was not coming to fight, y'all said that he came to fight last night from what I'm hearing. And this is a guy who Jaron Ennis already fought. So a guy who Jaron Ennis already fought, that was already putting hands on him in the first fight, now Karen got dropped in this fight and everything, where Jerron Ennis did more to him in this fight, more damage to Karen in this fight. He still criticized more. So obviously you guys don't know what you're looking at. And second of all, if you think Brian Norman Jr. couldn't have been able to do some things to a guy like Karen, you're obviously wrong. And who would have not liked that fight last night instead of this one? But for some reason, a couple of money here, money there, oh, it's not going to work because guys don't want to fight and stuff like that. Man, please, we done heard that so many times before. That's a new promotional skill. But like I say though, when you say that, when fighters build their whole reputation of guys don't want to fight me and stuff, this is when people say you're exposed and everything else. They were saying that Jerron Ennis was getting ducked by Terrence Crawford and Brian Norman Jr. and all these other people. So now that when he comes off a lackluster performance, instead of them taking credit for all the stuff they've been saying about Jerron Ennis getting ducked, they don't want to be in that crowd. So they'll sit up here and be like, well, you know, but y'all said that Brian Norman Jr. and all these other fighters were ducking him. Come on, man. Just go ahead and live with the result. You know what time it is.